Hey everybody, welcome back to the RGR Football Channel on YouTube. This is Daniel Harms. Today we are going to go back through some more mock draft situations here. And with everything that's gone on the last week, I would think the Chiefs really have shown that they're not going to take veterans and really impact their offensive line in terms of the length of the time they want them there. They have brought in a few guys on 1 year deals, which is really telling to me that they want to upgrade the rest of the offensive line for the future of Patrick Mahomes' career, which is really the whole thing to take away from this coming draft, especially after the Super Bowl really magnified the depth issues they had already. So I think we're going to take things a little bit differently. With some of the pro day information that's come out about the tackle class, we are going to find out whether arm length really impacts the way that the Chiefs see the tackles. So this is going to be more of an interesting season in terms of the draft season than I think I assumed going into this. So we're going to kind of jump in here. And one thing that I want to note is that I don't necessarily think it's tackle or bust for the Chiefs in the first round. That was interesting. That was not what I just did. It must have gotten stuck. But I think that there are a couple different positions that could end up panning out for the Chiefs. And one thing that I really more so come around to, because I do believe that offensive weaponry is a very important part of the way that the Chiefs draft and will end up drafting in the future to continuously get Mahomes weapons. But I think that this draft really kind of shapes up for them to be able to get some weapons, whether it's in the first round, second round, day three, day two, day three kind of thing. There's a lot of depth here. So I'm still kind of toying around with the idea of trading up. Since I'm not entirely sure how the Chiefs want to attack the tackle position with their, the more lengthy guys, we're going to kind of take it around here and see what we've got in terms of trade back options, because that's going to be something I'm usually going to consider. I'm not entirely positive that the Chiefs want to, I guess, for lack of a better word, trade back, just because I think that for the most part, they're not the most cognitive of trying to do that. Brett Veach has been very aggressive in terms of going up to get his guys. So that much is very obvious. Why won't it let me move this down? I can't see the rest of this. This is ridiculous. Oh wow. Well, okay. So let's see here. We've got a 2 at 51, 4, and 5. I assume that's for this first round pick itself. 2 and a sixth. That one's just for, so maybe move back 7 spots. See what we can see here. Picks they want to receive. So let's go. I think we'll decline this one for sure. Well, let me do it now. No. Interesting. Well, let's see. We got 49, which isn't too far back. I assume that there's a trade swap in here somewhere. So, or a pick swap, but there's 4 picks here. So 2, a 4, and a 5. 2, 5, 6, 7. I don't think there's much there. Maybe it's actually just for that one. Okay, that's just kind of. I think we'll do 51. We'll move back 51 because you get a fourth in that one. So we'll decline this one and we'll take this one, assuming there's no other picks attached to it. Yeah. All right, let's do that. I like getting back into the 50s just to kind of see what you can get. And I do believe that the tackle class itself is very deep as well. So right here from 51 to 63, there is a good amount of, there's 12 picks. So you're going to be able to, yeah, no, I'm going to stay here and see what we got, because now you really start getting the value of that second round. I think there's guys like Landon Dickerson, for example, who's at the top value pick here. I think his talent makes him a first round pick, kind of bar none, to be completely honest with you. There's still some tackles here. Jalen Mayfield, who I believe is going to be a guard in the NFL. I don't think he can actually play tackle. So Leatherwood, I would try at left tackle first and then move him inside if he can't do it. Brady Christensen is a guy who I really like. He's going to be he's an uber athlete, and he can really fit into this zone scheme. So let's look at the wide receiver position, because you've got Rondale Moore, Amari Rogers, Diami Brown. These are 3 guys that they're really good players. I think Brown's better than both of them in terms of what the Chiefs are looking for. Linebacker, Jamin Davis is a good option there. Joseph Osai falling all the way down here is interesting. That would be something to consider at 51. The raw athleticism of Joseph Osai is nice, but I think here they're really kind of looking for a weapon. The board doesn't really play that way though. This board is a little bit different. Like I said, these are the guys that I'm looking at and who's going to be available at 63. So I'm going to go ahead and look at, so we got two picks to make here. Do we want to go center and wide receiver or wide receiver and tackle? I personally am going to go center because I think that he's the best center in the class. I think he's going to be a very nasty, great player at the next level in terms of being able to move guys with his own raw power, but also having the athleticism to do things in space that a lot of guys, his size can't really do at the center position. So I'm going to take Dickerson. I think that this is excellent value, and I'm very excited to see him in this offense. I think that he would start next year, and it wouldn't even be close. Stop trying to get me to trade up. I don't want to trade up right now. I like the picks that I've got. Good Lord. Everybody's trying to trade back here. And I take my bet on who's going to be there at wide receiver. And then Nico Collins is the wide receiver left on the board. That wasn't too surprising for me. I actually think that the more I've seen and heard discussions about where guys like Diami Brown are going to go, the more I think that he might end up going in the first half of the second round. I think he's that good. I think NFL teams see him as that. But there's a guy here that is in my top 10. Personally, he fits an X type of profile. Now, we don't really know what the Chiefs want to do at the X position, whether they want to have a big guy that can go and get the ball, but also have some athletic ability to get open. And I think Nico Collins showed at his pro day that he's not just a straight line guy with speed that can go get the football. I think he's got some movement in his ability to get open. So I think that one of the things that I want to do is take Nico Collins here. I personally, think that he's really kind of a receiver that can come in and do some damage on the outside. He can be a physical presence. He can block. He's got that body type. So that's what I want to do here. I think that that's a good pick for them at 63. So I'm going to take Nico Collins. That really sets up the rest of the draft for the Chiefs that we're going to do, because I have my eye on an offensive tackle in the third round, and I think he's going to be there. So let's go ahead and I think I'm going to be able to get that offensive tackle at 96. Stop trying to ask me to trade up again. Holy crap, man. This is ridiculous. I wonder if this is actually how it goes in the rooms, like they're getting calls left and right from teams trying to move down and maybe asking you to move up. It's got to be worse than this, though, I would think, right? Every team's trying to gauge interest. Whew. All right, here we go. Offensive tackle. Whew. Let's see here. Where is the fourth round pick that we got? A little bit later. So maybe we're going to wait on offensive tackle at this point. There's definitely some interesting names on this list. Robert Hainsey, Notre Dame, but again, right tackle. Walker Little, I think, could project into being a starting left tackle in the NFL. But the guy I've got my eye on is Stone Forsythe. I'm interested to see what he's going to do. I'm actually very interested, and I'm not so sure that I want to wait around. I'm just going to take him now because I think Stone Forsythe is a guy. Well, I've seen quite a bit of stuff on him done, and I think that he's a very underrated left tackle in this class. He's very the name itself, Stone Forsythe. How could you not want to have that guy on your left tackle defending your blind side? A guy with a first name of Stone already just implies he's going to be great. So, that's kind of most of the allure for me already in that name. So, and I know that this is a heavy offense round one, first day one, day two draft, but I got to get the guys there to solidify what the Chiefs want to do on offense. At the end of the day, that's what's going to carry them to Super Bowls. We saw the offense, how great it was in 2018, and The defense was a historically bad defense. So I think that they're going to be able to find some players in this draft that do all the things that they want, and you're going to be able to get them later in this draft. So while I do like the implication of some of the players that there are in this draft in terms of linebacker, edge, in terms of the deeper side of this class is at defense. I don't think that there are very many defensive players that warrant a first round pick overall. The corners are going to be great. There's the top four guys. I think all of them have first round grade projections, and the rest are just kind of guys you can get elsewhere. So that's one place that I'm kind of looking as corner. I kind of want to get the guy that we want now. And I think that this is a good place to start. You got some guys here that play in aggressive physical defenses. Ambry Thomas is really a guy that I'm looking at. He didn't have the best time at Michigan. He opted out of the 2020 season, but I think that there's a lot of ability there. I do. I'm looking at the rest of this list, and there's a guy that really comes to mind is Marco Wilson out of Florida. Has the physical profile, the guys, and I think that he's dropping down boards for some unknown reason. I'm not entirely sure. I think he's a guy you can get later in these drafts, and it can really help you. He's about like 6 foot, 6'1", and he just had his pro day today, actually. So I haven't seen this stats on that yet, but I do believe he tested well. There was Ryan had actually tweeted about Marco Wilson being a guy that he liked too. So, and he's done like the deep diving on the corners yet. So maybe we look to target Marco Wilson in the 5th round because we got some picks here coming up. So let's look what else we can get on the defensive side because I do think that's what they're going to want to attack. Let's go linebacker. Whew, not a lot of guys on this list that really stick out. I know that Hillard out of Ohio State is a good player, but his medicals are really scary to me. That's not something I really want to take a chance on. The bulk of this linebacker class is really kind of in the middle on day 2. So if you're not going to take a linebacker there, I'm not sure that they're going to want to take a linebacker. That's just my own personal opinion. Their linebacker core is kind of set for next year. They're going to need some talent as well. So we're going to address it a little bit later, I think, probably in some more drafts. But when you're doing these mock drafts, it's hard to really gauge what the board is because I do believe that their priorities are offense. So that's why I kind of try to do, that for this one, I think this is kind of more important than getting all of those linebackers and defensive players earlier too. Because like I mentioned, I don't think there's a whole lot of intrigue in the defensive class itself. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. But let's look some elsewhere, some positions. Tight end is that's an interesting concept right there. There's a pick the Chiefs have here at 136 that might allow them to get somebody too. So as much as I like, this defensive options here on day 3, I think that Kenny Yeboah out of Ole Miss is a perfect option for this offense as a tight end too. And I'm going to take him because, why not? Let's just bulk up on the offense. Maybe we do a whole offensive draft here, just kind of get crazy with it. But let's go back to the linebackers because I think that's where you're going to need to get somebody. I do think there's corners there. I think maybe let's take a look at edge real quick. Dalen Hayes, actually, out of Notre Dame, is a guy that has met with the Chiefs and who's talked to them. So that there's an option there at edge. And I actually kind of like that fit. You're going to get him there. I think the other edge out of Notre Dame who's ranked right above him is also another guy. He's long, he's athletic, big. Rashad Weaver out of Pittsburgh, not the most athletic guy in the world. Both of the edges out of Pittsburgh were not. They're almost like the same guy. Like they tested the exact same way. They have a lot of the same abilities on the field. So that's interesting to me. Patrick Jones and Rashad Weaver were kind of that guy there. So let's go look at Dalen Hayes real quick. I really can't pull that up because it's not exactly accurate. So I'm not going to really use that as much. It's more just a reference point. It said about 6'3", 6'4", 261 pounds. That kind of fits the profile. And like I said, they met with him, so they've already shown interest. So let's go ahead and take him right here. I think that's a good spot. And like I said, we're filling out this 4th round with some picks here, and I think you're going to get value. So let's take a quick peek back at that linebacker spot. And I think this is an okay place to take a shot on a guy like Justin Hillard, who's going to bring an athletic persona who can cover better than a guy like Tough Borland, who was on his team, who we all saw his athletic testing is not very good. Um, the medicals, like I said, are there, but you're getting extra fourth round picks here. I like that option. Maybe he doesn't pan out all the way, but at the end of the day, I think that there's something you can do here to address some of your linebacker deficiencies. And I'm going to take Justin Hillard. I think that it's a good option. And he's, like I said, he's a good cover linebacker. That's something that I do kind of look for more in terms of what the Chiefs really need at linebacker. And maybe he just turns into like a dime backer type guy. Who really knows? That's something that they kind of need too. So they don't have that type of athlete on the roster. So it's interesting seeing some of the names that fall at different spots here. So I also like trying to get different names into these mocks, so we're not always talking about the same players. But it's difficult sometimes when some of your favorite players fall and you see them there, and so I do like trying to get a little bit different. So now we're looking at cornerback and safety here. Caden Stearns is a guy I know Ryan is high on in terms of being able to play safety in this defense. I do like the option of taking somebody that can replace Dan Soren eventually, because he did only come back on that 1 year deal, and they are. I personally believe they're trying to upgrade that position. They brought him back as a placeholder for himself, essentially, so we can teach someone else what he does. And they do want to run three safeties, so you can get Matthew Thornhill and then another younger player on the field. I think that would help, especially with more athletic ability. I think that's something that they really kind of need. Just younger players at some of these positions where they're getting older. So that's definitely an option. We don't really need to worry about defensive tackle anymore. A corner, we did that just for fun. Let's kind of look at that running back position in the round 5. I think that you can find some value that can help this off the running back position. So they have Clyde and they have Daryl, right? Those are the two guys that are going to be 1 and 2. They don't have much in terms of speed at the running back position. With Damian Williams going to sign with the Chicago Bears, they do kind of need a little bit of speed element in the backfield, in my opinion. You kind of need a 1-2 punch, and I think that while Daryl is a good complement to what Clyde provides in terms of that one cut back and up the field, where Clyde is more of the elusive, make you miss in the open field and get up, get out of bounds, that sort of thing. I think that Chuba Hubbard is an interesting option here, and I would be lying if I didn't want to take him. But at the end of the day, like I said, I think I'm going to go Caden Stearns here. It's a good value pick. I think there's someone that comes in if it's the defensive scheme that the Chiefs want to run. I think he can come in and be effective and learn in his first year, which is really all you want to do. That's important, I think. So since we are back up on the board here, we got another pick at 81. So I'm thinking about, again, attacking that running back position with some speed. And if Chuba Hubbard is still there, I'm probably going to take him. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm probably going to take him. Okay, he's not there. So Khalil Herbert is an interesting prospect. Chris Evans actually is very intriguing too. I saw some of his pro day numbers. A very underrated player who never got a full shot at Michigan to be the guy at running back. He's fast. He's very elusive. He can do some things for you in terms of running up out wide, running some slot receiver options, and get open and do some things after the catch. So I like that fit. I think that's fun. But we're going to look corner. The guy that I'm targeting, like I said, is Marco Wilson. And I believe I can get him at 81. I think I can get both of these players at the guys that I'm targeting. So we're going to take Marco Wilson. We're going to come back and we're talking, like I said, about the running back position. I think they do need some legitimate speed there. And that's not a detriment to Clyde. He's going to find the ability to get in the end zone on some longer runs too. But you got to have a home run hitter at some point, in my opinion. And I believe that Chris Evans provides that for this team. So we're going to take him here, add some speed to the backfield. Now, we added some picks throughout this draft with that first trade back. And I think we're kind of seeing how that plays out in terms of you're going to get some value here, you're going to get some value there, and it allows you to take a chance on a running back that I normally wouldn't have taken in this draft. but I think it presents an opportunity for you to get better. And so if we look over here at the left side where it says that the team needs hasn't been updated because they did bring in Reed for defensive line, I really have addressed all of them, and that's kind of important for me. But there's one thing I want to look at real quick is maybe some offensive tackle depth. Some guys that play tackle you can still bring in and learn. And again, 6th round pick, we're looking at bringing in guys just to learn anyway. One name on this list is somebody who I've watched a fair bit of, Alaric Jackson out of Iowa. You like some of these Big Ten linemen? They come in and they can play the position well enough. And I think that when you're playing at Iowa, you're really kind of expected to know much more about the intricacies of offensive line, tight end, running back, because they're a very run heavy team. So I think that he's a big guy that can play well enough in space that you're not, risking too much in terms of bringing a guy who's not athletic to the tackle position, but you're still going to back your tackle spot up with another guy that can come in and play. And he did play left. So I'm going to take Alaric Jackson here at 207 and really round out this draft. I think what we're doing so far is good. You're backing up some positions of need with more positions and some deeper guys. Because that's really what I think you want to do at offensive tackle. If you're going to take somebody high on day 1 and day 2, you can't just assume that they're going to pan out. You kind of have to do some deep digging here and find some players that have played well in the different systems and kind of insert them there. So I think I really kind of like how this draft turned out. It's not my favorite in terms of some that I've done, but I think that we do get some good value here. I know a lot of people may have wanted a wide receiver instead of a running back, which is totally fair. Take 2 wide receivers in this draft. I got no issues with that. But let's run it down real quick. We started with Landon Dickerson at pick 51, traded down from 31 all the way to 51. Then we went Nico Collins. Stone Forsythe out of Florida, definitely an underrated pick. I think getting him in the 3rd round is a projection for me because I think he's going to end up being a good start in the NFL. So I took him in the 3rd, even though he's probably going to be rated as a 4th round player. Kenny Yeboah, tight end out of Ole Miss, definitely a guy who can come in and play at that tight end 2 position. He's got the big enough body to put a little bit more weight on and definitely be an impact blocker, which I like. Dalian Hayes, the Chiefs have met with him. They've talked to him. He's a guy that they have their eyes on. Yeah, I said that right. He's a guy they have their eyes on. Justin Hilliard's really more of a kind of a betting that he's okay with the medicals. Really, Landon Dickerson and Hilliard are both kind of guys you're betting the medicals work out because I think you're going to get good players if they do. Dickerson has a potential to be a legitimate like all-pro center. So you're getting at 51. That's kind of a steal for me. Kane Stearns, defensive fit allows them to play more in the box a little bit. You can come in and be a 3rd safety I think that they can use. Marco Wilson, Florida, Chris Evans, we talked about, Alaric Jackson. So I think that there's a lot of good value here. Now, obviously, these always change every time you do it. And I think that we talked a little bit more about guys we don't always talk about. Obviously, Dickerson and Collins I've mentioned a lot about. Yeboah, we've talked. But everybody else is different in terms of Stone Forsythe is a guy who's been climbing up boards. Brandon Thorne talks about him quite a bit on Twitter. If you guys see him, he's talking about him a lot, doing a lot of good breakdowns on him. But there's a lot of names here that I don't normally pick, and I like doing that and getting really adjusted and familiar with a lot of these players because I'm going to have to look at most of them anyways. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I really hope that we can just kind of discuss this, whether it's a good pick, whether it's a bad pick. We don't really know until, their careers pan out. So this is all just fun. I hope you guys had a good time, and I have a great day.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.